Good morning, everybody, on this Saturday morning. I hope everyone has a cup of coffee in their hand. I'm your host, the barista of Sports Talk, Mr. Ron. Please, every day, have a warm cup of coffee in your hand. We're here to brew up good coffee, but we're going to brew up great conversation. This show, you can follow live on YouTube, and you can follow your great host on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm the same guy that posted the pictures yesterday with the fish. Yes, that's me. Yes, that's my buddy. Yes, that's a coach. Yes, that's going to be a guest. So yes, that's the same guy with the fish. Now that was a big fish yesterday. I'm all over the place, always doing something. So you can always stay up on what we're doing, what I'm doing, what my wife is doing. You can always see all the activities that we're doing here. Follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and follow the show live on YouTube. This is a quick introduction to the show, a quick introduction to me, your host, the barista. I know it's Saturday and you have a bunch of errands going on and the kids are running around trying to get to a soccer game, but I just want to introduce the show and myself to, yes, this is going to be a sports show, but it's also going to be an educational resource to help out all you kids, all you athletes, all you parents out there that don't possibly know how to take a graduate high school athlete and transition into college. Yes, there's guidance counselors out there that are paid, but doesn't mean that they're doing their jobs the right way in those high schools. So your barista is going to come from the top every day, spitting knowledge to you, 100% facts, like I've done all 20 years of my college basketball career as an assistant coach. I'm going to do it right here on live on this show, on this podcast, and spit you facts like I did my whole life. Spit you, the listener, spit you, my fan, those same facts. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you, the parent that doesn't know how to get your son or your daughter into college. I'm here to help. You don't have to travel around. You don't have to ask a million people and get 5 different answers anymore. No, you have it now. You got your resource. You have your barista. Believe in your barista. I'm going to spit you that knowledge. And that's what I'm going to bring to you every day on this show and on this podcast. That's just one little example of what this show is going to bring every day. This show is not bought out by any of the 4 major sports teams here in Philadelphia. I need to make sure I throw that out there. That's a big thing, the big difference between this show and this podcast compared to other shows on the commercialized radio channels, because those Philly teams, those Eagles, those Sixers, those Flyers, they own those channels. Last time I checked, it's just me and my wife running this channel. That's pretty bold right there. And that's how this game's going to get changed real quick. See, we don't need to dance around and walk around on eggshells being afraid to talk about Ben Simmons' lack of jump shot. We don't have to walk around on eggshells and discuss how the 3 blind mice yesterday in that 1-hour presser yesterday for the Phillies looked horrible. It's a shame if one fan shows up to the stadium next year off of what they saw yesterday. See, we can dive in and have that discussion and not worry about what those people down there at that ballpark have to think, because, again, they don't own this show. I own this show. And that's the great thing about this show. Your barista whips up a great cup of coffee, whips up some knowledge, and whips up some 100% facts to you every single day. This show is going to have a great lineup of guests along the way. Some of the guests here, I'll just throw out, since we're all in the tri-state area, people may or may not know who these individuals are. You'll learn about them as we go. One of them is going to be the head coach, men's basketball head coach, Camden County College, Lou Abatista. I want to say thank you for saying you would give me an hour of your time to come onto the show. But we're not going to just, my listeners and my fans, we're not going to just talk basketball conversation, generalizations, blah, 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 blah. No, not doing that. This is a Division III junior college that's a 2-year program that has no scholarships. And that's the same program that has made the playoffs for 8-9 years running straight. And they don't have a dime in scholarships, and they go up and down the East Coast, go international, and they get players from all over the place. And again, they don't have a dime to spend in scholarship money. Now, how is that happening? That's a great question. And this is what this show is going to do. It's going to enlighten the listener. It's going to enlighten the parent, the family member, the possible up and coming basketball or any athlete out there to the possibilities outside of the NCAA 1, 2, and 3, that there's another whole 2-year college atmosphere that you can go into for a year or two. And it's great basketball. And their league that they're in are producing scholarship-worthy players every year. More and more every year. You teams in the NCAA schools that have money, you need to be going to their conference, to that gym over there in Blackwood, because that league, that school, they're producing scholarship-worthy players in all sports, just not men's basketball. We're talking men's soccer, women's soccer, softball, baseball. Baseball kids are leaving this conference and getting drafted right to being a pro. It's great. It's great athletics in the junior college ranks, especially in the low to low Division III ranks that have no scholarships. Coach Lou Abatista, thank you for joining the show. That's one. Two, Coach Frank Kopstick, head women's basketball coach at Bucks County Junior College up there in Newtown, Pennsylvania. He's flipping over from the men's side to the girls' side. We're going to dive in and we're going to discuss that difference. How is it coaching a men's basketball athlete compared to a women's basketball athlete? I want to learn. I want to sit back and enjoy a cup of coffee and let him spit some facts and some knowledge on me, as well as my fans and my listeners as well. And I'm going to allow him to broaden our horizons. I want him to enlighten us of what he's going through as a coach. What's those hard issues that he's faced with every day, now dealing with the flip and going into the women's game? Is it harder? Is it easier? What is he seeing? What is the difference that he sees? Is the pace different? See, when we talk sports here on this show, on this podcast, we're not going to just dive in and just have a general conversation. You could get that anywhere. No, we're going to dive in and we're going to talk facts, real hardcore facts. What's the hard issues that these individuals are faced with? And that's how this is going to be not only a sports show, it's also going to be an educational resource for everyone out there to listen to, because there's other people out there, there's other coaches out there that might be going through the same phase as Coach Kopstick, and they might, and then, oh man, he's going through the same thing. It's just not me. So with Coach Frank on the show, we're going to dive in on that. He's at a Division II program in the junior college ranks too. He has a little bit of money. We're going to dive into some of his recruiting, but it's going to be a lot about pace of play, conditioning, practice scheduling. You can't, the wear and tear on the girl who was already thinking about possibly wanting to go to college, wanting to make money, wanting to start a family. Certain things that girls think of that boys don't think of. How is he managing a team of girls in a basketball sport that are athletes, maybe thinking, are they really an athlete or not? And how is he managing that little issue? And that's going to be the fun part of having Coach Frank come onto the show, and we're going to dissect and dive in, and we're going to whip up great conversation on that show. I can't wait for that show. So thank you, Coach Frank, for wanting to join the show. Uh, Third is going to be, I believe, Coach Assistant DeLorean Hurd from Wilmington University in men's basketball program. He joins a great program down there in Delaware. The head coach down there is a great young head coach. If I was an AD at a Division I school and I was looking to make a move in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, I would have my eyes set on Dan Burke. It's a great young head coach, up and comer. You four-year schools, that Division I level, you need to keep an eye out on this guy. Great young coach, doing a great job in the CACC League. It's a great conference. DeLorean joins a great staff with a great young head coach, as I touched on. He comes from a Division I school. I want to see. He currently came from a junior college down there across the water with Coach Lou. I want to dive in. I want him to whip up what he's going through from the changes of just 3 years of junior college basketball practices to what he's going through as a practice at a 4-year school Division II program. I would love to hear what those differences are. I want to dive into some of his recruiting. Again, your host is filled with knowledge. I don't have any notes in front of me. I don't have anyone in my ear telling me, hey, Barista Ron, say this or don't say this. No, I'm coming right from the top. So when I think Wilmington's athletes down there are the athletic office is in a different situation because their living situations are different than a lot of the Division II schools around the tri-state or even around the country. How is that one difference impacting is it not impacting recruiting, especially in men's basketball? I want to touch into that. Where's their recruiting circle at? Where are they basing their recruiting at? Touch on the great league of the CACC. So that again, we're going to whip up. I ask everyone to whip up some coffee, get a comfortable chair, find yourself on the couch, maybe get a blanket. It's getting cold out. Just get comfy and allow your barista and his guests and other guests along the way. There's going to be other guests along the way. I'm going to bring players too, but I want everyone to just sit there, get comfy with a nice cup of coffee, maybe a cup of tea. I'm a coffee guy. I would say coffee or something. It could be a water, whatever your preference is. But it's getting cold out. I enjoy coffee. It should be coffee every day, and just sit back and allow myself or my guests to spit 100% facts right from the top, and allow us to teach you, the listener, to spit knowledge and educational knowledge and process knowledge that in other terms you would never know about. And I want to touch into all these topics and dive into great conversation, whip up great conversation, and allow the guests to talk and have you, the listener, sit back and say, man, I picked up on something today. I learned something new today. And that's what's great about this show moving forward is I hope the fan and the listener picks up something new every day. And that's the goal behind this show. On top of talking and having great conversation about, the Temple game that's about to kick off at noon. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about your Sixers, your Flyers, your Phillies, your Eagles. Big game tomorrow. Oh, hold on. Oh, yes? Klein's out? Oh, great. Thank you. So it looks like another guy on the Vikings just got sick again. It's unbelievable that every 5 seconds, guys that are out in Minnesota are getting sick. So the Eagles are going to win easily tomorrow. Uh-oh. Hold on. Yep. Oh, Thielen? Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Thank you. Well, It looks like Adam Thielen is going to play tomorrow. So I still go with the Eagles tomorrow. It might squeak out a win, but that's going to be a hard matchup between that receiving core with the Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, and then your tight end core of Rudolph, and you have Irv Smith Jr., great rookie, not being utilized in that run-based offense. And it's going to be a great matchup on the secondary, specifically the corners, on how we match up with this problem tomorrow. Again, I think they still eke out a win tomorrow, eke it out, point, 2 points maybe, but they should get the win tomorrow. So we'll dive in, but when we dive in those conversations and in those games, we're not going to just like a regular call-in channel on the radio or on TV and say, oh, blah, 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 and keep it simple. No, I want to ask hard facts. Ask the hard facts. Let's discuss why Schwartz went with cat blitzes last week. First time since he's been here that he was sending corner blitzes, cat blitzes, and why it took so long. Why did it just happen? Why is he using Orlando Scandrick in his first game as a cat blitzer? The next thing you know, he's running down the sideline and running for a touchdown. I don't know. Is that something that we're going to expect moving forward? He is blitzing more, but he's sending cat blitzes now. That's something entirely different. So that's some of the ways that we're going to dive into these games, and we're going to talk great conversation, great sports conversation, great educational conversation, so that all the fans out there, all you listeners out there, can learn something every single day. This is what my goal, your barista, your host, is trying to do every single day. And that's how I'm going to try to change the game moving forward with bringing you live content and a live podcast content and changing the game. This isn't commercialized. There is no commercials on this show. There's no breaks on this show. There's no notes in front of me. Nothing was practiced. Nothing was written down for 8 hours or studied, and this is how it's going to be. No, it's coming from the top. This is how this show, this is how your host, this is how your barista is changing the game, while at the same time enjoying a cup of coffee. Till next time, I'm your host. I'm your barista. Spitting facts from my crib, from my coffee shop. Thank you for everyone joining me on this Saturday morning. Until next time, I'm your barista of Sports Talk